Hello, ladies. Rob from 3 Strong here. Fellas, you can listen too. In video 17, I talked about the repetition continuum and how heavier weight develops strength, lighter weight and more reps develops endurance, and then you have that middle ground where you can develop more muscle mass, power, speed, muscular endurance, and all those qualities, and that it's actually it's more beneficial to develop strength, power, and hypertrophy, and then you can increase your capacity for endurance after that. Today, I want to explain the energy pathways. So these are the energy systems that fuel those activities, and even just our daily activities. I have another chart for you guys to explain this because I love to draw pretty little pictures. So here's the repetition continuum on the top, and like I said, on the left end of the spectrum we have heavy weight, low reps, and then as the weight goes down we can do more and more reps and into the hundreds of reps, which then we start to develop our cardiovascular endurance. And like I said in video 17, that the better we get at this left end of the spectrum, that increases our capacity to do this end better. However, you can't develop from left to right. It's easier to go heavier and then go lighter and add more reps. Well, these are the energy systems over here. And the three major energy systems are the ATP system, which is our short, explosive burst of energy. And ATP is the fuel source for that. Then we have our anaerobic system. This is our high intensity to moderate intensity activity, and that is fueled by that anaerobic system. And then on the left of the spectrum there, we have our, let me get the shot out of the way, the right end of the spectrum here, we have our aerobic system, which is lower intensity and longer duration. So this is kind of our moderate to low intensity activities are fueled by that aerobic system. And notice how this lines up perfectly with our repetition continuum, so that we get a better sense of what energy pathway is fueling each of these things. So this would be our, like I said, our explosive quick burst, and then that makes sense because we're developing our strength and our power. And then as we stretch it farther and farther out and the intensity goes lower, now we're training more of that anaerobic system. This is pretty much between anything over 10 seconds to about 2 minutes is mainly fueled by that anaerobic system. And then as we stretch it farther and farther out, pretty much 2 minutes and over, up to hours and hours and hours, we have that anaerobic system. These, even though I put the lines, these aren't cutoffs. These systems, it's actually kind of a gradient, much like this is a gradient, that we have this range. So as we go farther out towards the anaerobic and the aerobic system, it's more of a percentage. It's not 100% of this and then we shut this off and this goes. We can have activities such as, say, interval training, where we're actually utilizing the anaerobic system, and then as the intensity comes down, now we're using the aerobic system. Let me explain this in a slightly different way so you get a clearer picture. Let me turn this on its side. Now we get a picture of, let me move that back. Now we get a slightly better picture of lower intensity on the bottom, higher intensity on the top. Think about this like the gears in your car. We have first gear down here, which is fairly slow, not a lot of power, and as we start shifting gears, we need more and more energy, more and more power. So this would be our light jog, and as we increase the speed, increase the pace, we start shifting towards these different energy systems. This would be our all-out sprint. This is why strength training and sprint training, endurance, high intensity not cardiovascular exercise, but high intensity interval training is so important, is that it's easier to develop qualities on the bottom end of the spectrum now once we've pushed ourselves towards that higher end. If we develop our strength and then we develop these anaerobic systems first, that makes all this stuff at the bottom end of the spectrum that much easier. But most people go towards this end of the spectrum first and then wonder why they're not getting stronger, they're not getting faster, because they're thinking of developing it from the bottom up instead of the top down. Next time you go into the gym or you're thinking about your workouts, it's much better to force yourself to go a little bit heavier, a little bit faster, so that everything else is that much better. This cardio training is not going to get you faster, is not going to get you stronger. So, develop these qualities on this end, work your way down, and you're going to be so much leaner, stronger, and faster, and in much better shape. Okay, guys? See you tomorrow.